gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's go.
Round one. Fight.
Thank you for tuning in to the Crypto Street Podcast. Here are your hosts, Killer Whale, Prince, and Crypto Dale.
And remember to tip your waitress.
Hey, everybody, welcome. This is Crypto Dale wearing a Chicago Cubs hat tonight because the Cubs suck. This is Crypto Street Podcast. I don't know, are any of you guys on Killer or Prince? Are you guys Cubs fans?
I am not a Cubs fan.
I'm going to... Prince, you don't even know what baseball is.
We got the Jays out here. That's about it. So
You have weather and hockey. That's about it.
And toques.
Yeah.
Which are allegedly hats.
And toques.
Oh, oops.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, what's that
So
beer you
I just wanna
referenced
rant
that one
about
time?
Kokanee?
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
Kokanee.
yeah. I can't believe you guys haven't had a Kokanee before.
Are you going to bring that to Crypto CoinCon or what?
So let me bring it over through the airport. See how they think about
Just do not
a
remember.
24
Just don't
pack.
mention Crypto Dale.
going through security. Yeah.
I just want to rant a little bit about the damn Cubs, leading the bigs and strikeouts. You guys are doing great. Keep it up. That's awesome. We're off to a great start. Killer, how you doing today, buddy?
Good. On my end, I'm a fair weather Yankees fan. So I've been out of the Yankees ball game for about past 10 years. I'm back in though. They're looking promising. Young squad, talented group. They got Giancarlo Stanton. Or is it Giancarlo? I don't know.
Giancarlo.
Judge, obviously, who's been a revelation, but he kind of sucked near the end of last season. But exciting times.
I'm going to pin him sucking on the home run derby.
I think
Everyone that wins that home run derby sucks. Second half.
it went straight to his head, and it went downhill from there.
Fact. Call me Schwabi. Prince,
What's up?
people are dying.
Oh, God.
Chomping at the bit. They want to hear, what's your weather like up in Canada land?
Frothing at the mouth to know about the weather.
They are frothing.
It is pretty good right now. Snow is starting to melt. I can actually see normal roads. It's kind of cool, but I don't want to get my hopes up because this weather just changes from 1 minute to the next.
Kind of like Bitcoin.
Yeah. I've had a pretty good day though overall. I was in the Bitmex troll box yelling at people under a different name.
What exactly?
Yeah.
I saw your message on your tweet.
It was just,
in
I
our
got
group,
bored,
You were saying
right?
something.
I just got bored. And I was like, I'm just going to go into the troll box and I'm going to be a troll. And then...
Doing you, man. Do you.
Yeah, almost got banned. Didn't get banned though. Me and the mod made up. I said sorry.
This is unreal. I can't believe
Living
it.
life on the edge there.
Yeah. So now I'm here.
That's how you can tell we're in a bear market is Princess starting shit in the troll box.
Yeah. Got nothing else to
That's
do.
Fantastic. Well, guys, today, as everyone can read on the title, we are joined with the man, the myth, the legend, Jordan Crawford. He's the director of growth at Purse.io. Jordan, it's good, man.
Thanks for having it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on. Let's just kind of start and talk about your background in crypto and then give us a little, high-level overview. If for some reason the people listening haven't heard of Purse, maybe that you can just give them, before we dive into it, a little high overview on it.
Sure. So in terms of crypto, I got into crypto. I actually looked up my account here on Purse as the first starting point because Andrew, the CEO, we've been friends for a while. And he said on September 15th, 2016, he's like, you should try Purse out. I'm like, I don't know, this Bitcoin thing, I don't think it's going anywhere. And
now look at
yeah,
you.
and so he gave me a small amount of Bitcoin to try on Purse, and we've kept up because I liked Andrew, and we would chat every now and again because I had some experience in the past doing some stuff on Amazon, and so we just we kept in touch. And at the end of last year, maybe it was like October. I logged into my Purse account and I had like $1,000 to spend on Purse, and which is
Wow.
which is pretty absurd. So so he contacted me again and he's like, "Hey Jordan, why don't you come over to Purse and we've got a growth role for you to really expand our user base." And I was like, "Yeah, let's go for it." So Yeah,
do it. So-
relatively short time in crypto though.
But that's all right. Let's talk about what is Purse. What do you guys got going on over
Sure.
there?
So Purse is a way to save 5 to 33% on everything on Amazon when you spend your Bitcoin. And I know that maybe your listeners are like, spend Bitcoin? Why would you ever do that? But it's
What are you talking about?
It's actually our goal to make cryptocurrency useful, and we think it's really important for people to be actually able to spend a currency for it to be useful as something other than just a investing mechanism.
So how does the system work? Like, let's say I know nothing about it, but I know Amazon. Let's say I want to buy a box of diapers on Amazon or something, or whatever it may be. How does the process work in terms of using my Bitcoin to buy that?
Sure. So Purse hosts its own wallet, and actually we support the open source bcoin.io. It's an open source wallet. Copay uses it. You can transfer money into Purse, and then you select the item you want. You can even paste in an Amazon link right in the search box. And then you have an option, which is if you want 5% off, that item will be ordered immediately by Purse. Or you can go 10, 15, 20, up to 33% off. And then what happens is we match you with an earner. And earners are people that really want Bitcoin and are excited by cryptocurrency. And so they're willing to take a hit on the price of Bitcoin to fulfill your product.
Interesting. And so they kind of have gift cards, if I read correctly on the website, right? So they're exchanging gift cards for Bitcoin in a sense?
Yeah. So they may have some extra Amazon gift cards. Maybe they actually work for Amazon gift cards. It's, you think that Bitcoin is its own economy. Amazon gift cards are definitely their own economy. And so folks sometimes will get them extra for Christmas or birthdays and won't have the ability to spend them all, and they'll maybe want to earn cryptocurrency.
I feel like I have so many Amazon gift cards that I've gotten, and that they sit on my desk, and I always forget to use them. It's like I'll be on Amazon, I'll buy something, and immediately after I get like the order confirmation email, I'm like, oh, that gift card that grandma gave me for Christmas. Like, oh man, it's a constant problem, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of our earners come from a variety of different places. And I think a lot of them are just so excited for cryptocurrency. Some of them actually even buy Amazon gift cards at current prices, or will buy with their credit card on their Amazon account and fulfill that item for you as the shopper to get your Bitcoin.
So what are their obligations as like a holder of the gift card? Do they just like give Purse their gift card number and then it's all automated from there? Or what are their responsibilities in the whole thing?
No, actually, as an earner, you shop on your own Amazon account. So in the case, if you have gift cards that your grandma gave you, you can add all those to your own balance on your own Amazon account and then buy for me. And so how that process works is I say, I'm looking for, I actually bought a A6500 Sony camera. And I said, I'm looking for a Sony camera. I'm willing to pay $1,000 for this camera. It's a $1,200 camera. So I put that up. An earner accepts that order and then submits the Amazon order ID. When that happens, the Bitcoin in my wallet, $1,000 worth, are held in escrow. And the earner then updates the order ID as the item ships. When they update the tracking ID. And when I get that item, then I confirm, yes, indeed, I got the camera, at which point the Bitcoins are released from escrow and delivered to the earner.
So one of the things that I know people like most about Amazon is how quick and fast and easy the shipping and everything is. What kind of delay, if any, is there in that sort of process when you use Purse?
That's a good question. We found that there's basically 3 tiers of discounts. So there's 5% off, which we order immediately for you within 24 hours. That's shipped out right away if you're just trying to save a little bit of money with Bitcoin. Then we've also found that between 10 to actually anything between 5 and 18%, the order gets picked up in 72-ish hours. 18 to 33% is a little bit more of a gamble. We've seen, just to look at sort of my history of orders, I got my camera at 20, I'm pulling it up right here, at 18%. I bought a small water bottle at 25% off. I bought a lens at 28% off. I bought another lens at 25% off. I bought an air filter at 29% off. I bought a SanDisk SD card at 28% off. So I'm willing to wait for my orders because I'm just looking for the crazy high savings. And some of these orders have taken a week or a week and a half, 2 weeks. But at about 18%, you can get the order in a relatively quick time and save a lot of money.
That's interesting that you have so many that are in that kind of 20 plus, like 20 to 30% off range. Because when I was reading online, I was thinking like, that's probably like, it's going to be tough to get something to fulfill if you select a discount of that much. But apparently it's not that tough, even though, like you said, it's a bit of a gamble.
Yeah. And also, I like to play the game a little bit more. So I'll go in, I'll start at 33%, and no one will pick up an order, and I'll reduce it down to 29%, and then maybe try 28%. But a lot of people don't like to shop like that. They just want their item right away. I'm buying big, I bought a handful of big ticket items. So I was like, I want to try to save as much as possible. I actually took a trip to the real Amazon recently, and I knew I was going on that trip a couple of months ago. So I started putting in my orders for the things that I would need then at high discounts.
Talking like the jungle?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. It's funny.
Yeah, I didn't know if you're talking
people ask me like, you're on the
That's why I thought you meant
Amazon? They're like,
headquarters.
Seattle? I'm like, no, like in Peru. And they're like, oh, wait, what? I don't, I've done stuff with Amazon for a long time. So it's the one place that, it's like, oh, okay, I'll meet you at the coffee shop. I'm like, no, a different Amazon. So I definitely had to do that double take.
Original
the
Amazon.
The OG.
Yeah.
There
Isn't
you
that
go.
funny? Like the
free
actual
visas.
jungle's just been overtaken.
Oh,
How was that trip, by the
Yeah.
way?
Oh, it was the amount of biodiversity in the jungle. So it turns out that if you wear a headlight at night and you're looking in the jungle, all the reflections that you see are spider eyes, which
No.
which is like
Disgusting.
a terrifying
Burn it
thing.
down.
no.
Yes, I
Oh.
know.
Burn it down.
The Amazon was great though. The thing that's kind of funny about it is that you get there and they're like, look, the likelihood is really low, but we got to tell you about these 7 diseases that will just like screw you in the most strange ways possible. It's like your nose will fall off, but it won't happen for 4 years. And the bridge will just totally disintegrate, And so when you get back and you're thinking like, oh my gosh, do I have chikungunya?
It's like one day you just wake up and you push on your nose just completely flat with no
Yeah,
cartilage. Like,
you're
what the
like,
hell?
what
I knew
What
it.
the hell happened there? They're like, oh,
got it
you
in
got
the
that
Amazon.
nose fly. Yeah, sorry.
That damn Amazon trip.
Yeah. It was worth it though.
So one question I got now, we've kind of been chatting here about the purse site with the buy side, but you guys also have a sell side where it appears people can go on and list products or items of their own. How about you go into that a bit? What's the process for somebody who might be looking to sell an item on your platform, and what kind of fees might they encounter, stuff like that?
So the sell feature, purse merchants essentially is what that feature is. And it's something we experimented with a couple of years ago. We built this out for people to be able to transact in Bitcoin. We've recently decided to sunset purse merchants because the transactions were actually much harder to be in the middle of and to mitigate. The types of things that people bought were really fascinating. I mean, we sold just so many Bitcoin t-shirts. We sold a handful of mining rigs, and being in the middle of those transactions was really challenging for us. And so we've actually decided to focus just on our marketplace right now. So that's the earning and selling on Amazon.com. We support the UK and Japan as well. So that's what we've been kind of focused on. It's a good question, but we're sunsetting it.
Fair.
What's the mood been like around the office with this Bitcoin and larger crypto decline? Because on Twitter is like basically dead, crypto Twitter. Every chat group is down in activity, I think. It seems like they're leaving the space. It just seems like the buzz is kind of dead a little bit. So what's that been like around the office?
I had a conversation with folks the other day, and we were trying to get an understanding of how the Bitcoin price fluctuation impacted the marketplace. And the answer is like, we still aren't totally certain. But we focus on spending cryptocurrency. And so the interesting thing is that the ups and the downs are not as impactful for our business because people will come on, spend cryptocurrency, and save a bunch of money. And so I was just reading off my order history, right? And so I'm not holding a bunch of cryptocurrency for long periods of time because I'll then go and spend it if I have it. And those savings totally add up. So if the price drops by 6 or 7% in a day and I'm getting a 28% savings, great. I've still saved money, just a little bit less than I expected. If the price goes up, that means not only have I saved more, but also I can actually just spend that extra money think of it as like free product on Amazon. So we're not the company isn't really oriented around, oh, like what's the Bitcoin price today? Like, did anyone see? Oh my gosh, like this is I have my house in Bitcoin. It's more like, okay, well, I'm buying this. We're buying beer for the office or something via Amazon. We have to spend a little bit more Bitcoin to get it.
This is an interesting kind of contrast for me to hear because, like the individuals we talk to all the time, it's, the speculators, the people who are, always got their money on the line. And when it goes down, if they're having a good day or a bad day. Your situation, you're in a bit of a different one where, you're kind of on, not necessarily the speculation side, but more, on the merchant side, helping people get some products, a platform for that. So to me, it's funny to hear, the kind of the contrast. It's like you guys are, it's not that bad. It's, the market fluctuation, you guys aren't seeing it as much as maybe, we are just speculating, in our portfolios, stuff like that.
Yeah, we've definitely seen drops in, like we had a great month in January, despite the, the huge drop from the high in December. Mm-hmm. And also I think some of it is that we're in San Francisco. So there's actually a $15 pour over coffee that's not too far from our office. And so people can go in and buy something like that and not bat an eye. And I'm like, okay, there's no Bitcoin price change that could freak me out after seeing a $15 cup of coffee. So some of that is that in San Francisco, we've just gotten used to things being upside down. And that's true in our conversations too. I always joke that in San Francisco, if someone comes up to you and said, I'm starting a company to sell left socks, people be like, oh, I got this guy. He's got a bunch of right socks. You should chat with him. Right? No one's ever like, that's a terrible idea. Why are you doing that? And so I think we probably handle the Bitcoin price fluctuation a little bit better here in San Francisco because it's long-term investments. And that's kind of how venture capitalists think as well, right?
Yeah, and I think they have the average person in San Francisco has a better grasp of cryptocurrency than I think the average person in almost any other U.S. city that I can think of. I think it's got to be tops in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, that sort of area, right? Just because everybody's so tech savvy, they're so involved with all these major tech companies like Facebook, YouTube, or Google, which owns YouTube now. And so it's got to be interesting seeing kind of crypto from your perspective because we have a lot of listeners like in the middle of the country. I mean, we have a lot on the coast as well. But the interactions they must have with like let's say somebody, for example, Dale, like you're living in Iowa. I think am I correct in thinking that maybe it's few and far between that you find people who know a lot about cryptocurrency?
Oh yeah, I started an Iowa crypto group on Telegram, and we've got 17 people. So,
and that's everybody.
Go fuck yourselves.
The mayor, the head of all the banks. It's like that. In San Francisco, in San Francisco,
it's wild.
The other joke that I like to tell is that in 2008, everyone was a social media expert, and now everyone's a blockchain expert. And so you'll be in a coffee shop, and you'll hear people like, "Oh, I'm starting a blockchain for tennis." I'm like, the game, the tennis? Wait, what? How does that even? They're like, yeah, it's going to be distributed. People come in. And it's like you just like have a. And so you'll often be at a coffee shop and you'll hear, insert noun, insert blockchain. And, you won't really ever make sense of it. Lewis Black has this whole skit that's like, he heard this one piece of a conversation that was, if it wasn't for that horse, I wouldn't have spent that semester in college. But that's like all he heard about. And he's like, what could have led? He speculated as to what the rest of the conversation would be. So living in San Francisco right now is sort of like that, but insert blockchain or cryptocurrency.
What's your perspective, I guess, in terms of, we talk with guests all the time about what inning are we in terms of like blockchain, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency adoption. What is your guys' perspective, or what's your perspective personally?
Directly in the business side of it.
Yeah, because it's a different perspective than we normally get.
Well, I think that if you look at any early stage technology like drones, there was probably a couple of years ago, there was a website that launched here in San Francisco to a lot of fanfare that was taco drone delivery. And it was a joke, but like hundreds of thousands of people signed up. It was just some ridiculous amount. And I think that most sort of early and new stage technologies start as toys or, in this sort of fringe category. And I think actually that's really helpful for adoption because there are a lot of people that are absolutely crazy about it. I mean, I used to volunteer out on Alcatraz, and a guy flew his drone over to Alcatraz and contacted, crashed his drone in Alcatraz, which is totally dangerous. Contacted the island and said, "Hey, can you come and bring my drone back?" So the police officer met up with the guy and gave him a fine and said, "Here's your drone and here's a fine for crashing it on the island." And so, but that goes, it sort of explains his fervor he's like, "I'm really into this drone. Like, I want to get this thing back. It's really important to me." And so I think that's kind of what being in the blockchain space is right now. It's a lot easier to connect with folks in the space and to do deals from a business side. I think the challenge now will be, how do we break out of this sounding board that is the sort of tight-knit blockchain community to other things? And that's kind of where Purse's mission is at right now, and we're trying to make that connection. And saving 20 to 30% on Amazon is a pretty good way to say, okay, maybe I'll take another look at Bitcoin and see what this is all about.
Yeah, and I think the whole relationship with Amazon is so huge because, obviously it's this gigantic marketplace that so many different people use. Like, I can see Amazon being this sort of shop where you just go to it for everything. And it already kind of is for a lot of people. Like, me personally, if I'm looking for anything online, for the most part, Amazon's pretty much my first stop that I go to, just to see if it's available. It's probably cheaper than most places. The shipping's probably faster and probably free because I have Prime.
So convenient too. It's deadly. They got that one hit purchase thing right on the app. It's like you just get carried away. It's like oh.
I need this. I need this. I need
like,
this.
Before you know it, you've completed your purchase.
And for me living in the middle of Iowa, or maybe not the middle of Iowa. I shouldn't say that.
I think there's only a middle of Iowa. Let's just be clear here.
Hey, Jordan, let me ask you this. Do you like food?
Yeah, I love food.
Yeah, probably has come from Iowa, so you better watch your mouth.
This is Dale's go-to whenever anybody attacks Iowa. He's like, "You like eating? Yeah?
You like eating?
Iowa.
Shut your mouth." No, but Amazon is just so convenient. And if you have 17 people in Iowa that are using Bitcoin and blockchain and crypto, it's amazing. So Jordan, basically, do you guys ever see yourself maybe branching off from just Bitcoin? Will you accept other forms?
Absolutely. We're actively looking into other cryptocurrencies right now. And the community has been really, really vocal about this, that they want us to start supporting other currencies, especially when the Bitcoin fees were so high at the end of last year. So we know that that's a challenge for our users. And we actually, if you have a Coinbase account, we subsidize the fees out to Coinbase, and you can send money in from Coinbase for free. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, we that's like one of the reasons why we subsidize the fees, is that they just have increased so much. We want people to transact in it. And the other piece is, like, we recognize that the fee structure, but also we're kind of disintermediating the whole. If you think about like the Visa network, right, and how many transactions that thing does, and all the fees that are associated with it, how many people are involved in your transaction at every stage of the way. One of the reasons that the discounts can be so great is that that's not the case for Bitcoin.
So one of the arguments we always hear from the Bitcoin Cash / Bcash community, sorry everybody, but I know they take offense to that Bcash name, but is, we're like Bitcoin, but we're faster and our fees are like non-existent. So is that something you guys have looked into implementing, like Bitcoin Cash specifically?
I won't talk about specific other cryptocurrencies, just because the one thing that I have learned in the short time I've been here at Purse is that there are just like deep threads of certain currency folks. And so I reached out to one of our users and asked him this question about what other cryptocurrencies that you're interested in. He's like, "I would love Dash." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Like, what do you do?" He's like, "I work at Dash." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, that makes a lot of sense that you're interested in that. But
Lux.
Yeah, Bitcoin Cash is definitely high on the list of our user wants.
Okay, because like there's a part of me that always thought like, the whole like argument around Bitcoin Cash is very much, people with vested interests in seeing it succeed, touting things that are maybe not as big of an issue as most people deal with. Like, personally, I've never really found the actual Bitcoin fees to be that high for me, but that's maybe just due to the types of transactions I'm making with it. So to hear that they actually are pretty high from somebody like you who's involved in, who doesn't really have a vested interest, it's just like, these are high fees. That's interesting because there's so much misinformation and skeptical, sketchy kind of information in crypto. Obviously, it's a place that's ripe with scams and fraud and stuff like that. But it's interesting to talk to people very close to the source and see what their perspectives are in terms of the fees, the transaction speeds, things like that.
Yeah, that's been a little bit of a challenge for me in reaching out to some of our users because anonymity is an important piece of a handful of different shoppers. And so I texted one of our users and I said, hey, we're looking to find, ABC wanted to do an interview. And I said, hey, we're looking, I'm Jordan, I've started a purse. We're looking to find someone to chat with ABC. And he said, fuck off, scammer. I was like, okay, okay, sorry. I guess I shouldn't have texted you. So I emailed him from my account at Purse, and which is probably I was listening to one of your episodes, and I think you guys had mentioned that Bitcoin has some of the most technical people in the world, and also some of the best scammers. So that's probably a reasonable reply, but at all the other companies I've worked at, never would I text a user and have them say hey, look, I'm trying to get you interviewed exposure, and that probably was the exact opposite thing of what he, he's
that is maybe the most crypto thing I've heard. Because you guys are based in San Francisco, which is you could not be in a more legitimate location for a tech startup, or I don't even know if you classify as a startup anymore, but it's just everyone's so paranoid in crypto. I mean, shit, we're definitely guilty of that to some degree as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it's it seems kind of ridiculous, but you kind of have to be very careful just because, like you said, the scammers are very smart in addition to the legitimate people.
Yeah, yeah. And people have created entire replicas of Purse's website to try to convince people to transfer their money into Purse, P-O-U-R. I don't know what the site was, but they definitely created whole replicas of Purse to try to scam people. So we're pretty, we do take privacy and security pretty seriously, and it's why we have an open source wallet. And yeah, it's we've got a security guard here at Purse too to even protect us personally. So
Ooh.
yeah.
Hey, you guys remember when, speaking of being paranoid, when we had Roger Ver on, how we contacted him was I just typed in on Telegram Roger Ver and it came up. And so I messaged him and I was just like, hey, is this the real Roger? And he's like, yes, it is. And I'm like, that's what a fake Roger was. And so when we were talking, we were just like, what are the odds that when he joins, it's actually him and not this freaking, old guy that's like, hey, boys.
I could have sworn I could have sworn that we were going to show up to that podcast and his screen was just going to be blank on our podcast screen, and it was just going to be an impersonation of Roger Ver, And then when he actually showed up, I was like, oh my God, it's really him. This is crazy.
Shit, I should have wrote the questions down because I was thinking it was a scammer.
Well, the real question is how long. There's a great series of trolls where someone will call into NPR and read the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song. Let me tell you about a time that I grew up in West Philadelphia. It's where I was born and raised, and so
on the playground where I did spend most of my days.
How long could he go on for? How long could he go on as fake Roger Ver?
I think that's a thing stolen from the internet where somebody will do a big long story on a forum, and the end will just be and that's how I ended up in West Philadelphia. And they're like, fuck, it was fake. The whole thing was a fraud. And I thought it was one of the funniest troll things on the internet. That's what I love the internet for, just all these ridiculous things that come up
Ken M. Ken M is my favorite internet troll. If you haven't seen his stuff, it's really, he took a picture of some food product that you're supposed to put in the in the oven, and he had it with a bunch of magazines, and then he had it in the oven with a bunch of magazines, and the product was like, no, you're not supposed to cook the magazines, and he's like, but it helps crispen up the meal, and so he's just got all these really great trolls. Let's put a link in the episode because you have to see some of his trolls. They're really.
What's this guy's name?
Ken M. He goes on Yahoo Answers all the time. And so, one of his, I'm not to get too far off the subject, but one of his trolls was it's like Curiosity rover explores Mars. He's like, well, that must be nice to explore Mars while the rest of us are here down on Earth working our butts off, and on Yahoo Answers, people love to reply and being like, that's its job. And it's like, well, what a great job to have,
I've never heard of this guy. I'm like Googling him as we speak.
neither.
This looks pretty funny.
Yeah, he's exceptional. And he'll only go on like Yahoo Answers and Facebook, like Facebook product pages, but Ken M is the person to follow.
Too funny. I was thinking you were going to say your favorite troll is Crypto Dale.
Second favorite.
So what's Purse got in store in the future here?
So
Jordan, what do you?
Yeah, happy to share some of that. So we're working really hard on reliability right now and just making it sort of a rock solid experience. So I talked about sunsetting merchants. We've also sunsetted like Brazil and some other countries that we were supporting just to make sure that transactions are reliable, that people have like a really good first experience. We're expanding beyond people that may have already got into crypto and really sort of making headway there. And then, of course, looking into other cryptocurrencies to make sure that the users that, sort of the active community of cryptocurrency enthusiasts still feel like they have a home on Purse with the currency that they want to use.
One thing I've wondered about, so let's take a coin like Monero, for example. I love Monero. I love the concept. I think there's an addressable market that's really big for a coin like that. But I don't really see Monero ever getting listed on Coinbase or now Circle it's already on Poloniex, so maybe that's erroneous. But how are these like big regulated entities going to, like your guys included, do you ever see yourself implementing Monero compatibility, given that it's anonymous and it's hard to trace, and maybe that brings up tax questions and illicit activities questions? Or have you guys thought about that? Or
we do have to think about what we can't so we don't actually, you can't buy Bitcoin on Purse because then we'd be regulated as an exchange, right? And so we have to think, in terms of which other cryptocurrencies we may support. We have to think about that exchange too, because then if you actually can trade Bitcoin for Jordan coin, right? Well, then are we an exchange there? And how does that impact the regulatory environment? How does that impact our users? Also, you can connect up Shapeshift and technically buy on Purse with whatever other cryptocurrency you want by making that connection. But I think for the most part, the company position is to try to avoid the politics as much as we can, because we want to make cryptocurrency useful. We want that to be a sort of a very inclusive mission of different people in the community that are, you mentioned Roger Ver, like he's an investor of Purse, and he's like, everyone knows he's like really into Bitcoin Cash, but we don't want to get into the politics of, okay, well, what about this cryptocurrency and what about that cryptocurrency? We really want to be a place where people can shop, where people that are new to Bitcoin can actually experience it. And I think that was kind of the interesting thing for me, is that, our wallet actually is expressed in USD first before the amount of Bitcoin that you have. And I just got used to the changes. And once I got used to the changes, I could shop without having to worry about, okay, did I really save 25% or 20%? And I think that sort of mantra will hopefully also apply to whatever other cryptocurrencies we support in the past, that people will be focused less on what is the exact cryptocurrency that we're supporting and more on what's the experience to go from being new to this thing to actually transacting in it, to experiencing it. And I think that if we can grow the community of cryptocurrency users across the board, that it's really going to be good for the entire community.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of true of human nature, where people are A, averse to change, but B, also very adaptable to change, where nobody wants to change, because it's like everyone has their status quo, they're creatures of habit, they're used to doing certain things a certain way. And then let's take something, for example, like the Facebook news feed. Everyone goes up in arms whenever they make any kind of change to the news feed. Same thing with Instagram. But within like a week or two, like everyone forgets it even happened in the first place. So like people want to be outraged. They want to like kind of go, oh, this is difficult. I need to adjust, but people get used to things very quickly. And I think crypto is very much the same way. Where like when I first started, and you go on an exchange, and you're like, this costs 0.053869, like Bitcoin, like what? And then, but you get used to it pretty quickly. But I think you guys are doing a good job of making that transition easier for people, just in terms of linking with a place like Amazon. And it ties back to your mission, making Bitcoin useful for all.
Yeah, and we think that we have an opportunity really to grow the community because people love saving money. And so if we can get more folks into cryptocurrency, that I think that these sort of niche arguments about, well, this is the very best altcoin, or this is the coin of choice, that a lot of those things will either fade away or in fact will scale, and that coin will actually have really use and value behind it. And because more people are involved in the ecosystem will grow, and that will take all of these other coins like to have more chances to be useful in a bunch of different contexts. And so, yeah, we really think it's actually kind of dangerous to not be able to spend a currency if you can't use it anywhere. Where does the value come from then?
And I would always kind of think too, like I was thinking back to our earlier, topic of Bitcoin price and how that maybe affects activity or doesn't affect it. I would think for your guys' sake, like when the Bitcoin price is high, I think that hoarder mentality maybe gets even stronger. So in a weird sense, it might almost be a benefit when the Bitcoin price is going down, because people are more willing to go, oh, screw this, it's a fad, I'm going to spend it anyway. And whether that's true or not, I obviously I don't think any of us think that. But just that mindset among people who are new to the space.
Yeah, I think we've probably had this discussion 348,000 times, which is just like, one of the email strategies that we haven't yet implemented, but we're certainly thinking about is as the Bitcoin price increases, you could think about that as free additional money to spend. So you just got $100, you got 100% off your Amazon item. You don't have to spend all of your Bitcoin, but you can transfer that additional money that you've made over to Purse, and then you can transact with it. And in a sense, then you've locked in that increase in savings because you've actually used some of your currency. You've diversified in diapers, right? Or whatever you're buying.
It's like taking profit in a sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's like taking profit.
Totally. So I just, kind of while we're here talking, was on purse.io, and just the first thing that I saw, I added to the cart just to kind of see how easy the process was to set your discount and stuff like that. And it is way easy. I just went into this Ben Shop Bullet Rocks glass with real bullet. It was just whatever I found, and then I put 4 in my 4 in the cart, and then went all the way to the end. And there's just this slide bar where you can set your discount up to 33%, and it starts at 5, obviously. And then as you are sliding it, it shows you your estimated delivery time and savings. So it's super. It's a lot easier than what I anticipated. So kudos to you guys, I have to say, for that.
Yeah, thanks. And that's you talked about future-looking things that Purse is working on. That's something that we just launched, I don't know, several months ago. We used to have 2 different order flows for instant orders, and we call them name your discount orders. And we simplified that so the user can just say, okay, you can get it right away at 5%, or if you're willing to wait, here's the general trade-off that we see in the marketplace at X percentage. And so, again, I found recently that 18% orders will get picked up pretty quickly, and anything from 18 to 28% is where you can, you might have to wait a little bit, but those orders do go through.
That's awesome.
And actually, I should say that one of the other things that I bought on Purse recently was, like, I bought a Safeway and a Whole Foods gift card. So I paid $72 for a $100 Safeway gift card and $75 for a $100 Whole Foods gift card. So there are other ways that you can save money on Purse that are sort of unlocking different ways to spend Bitcoin, in the real world.
It's pretty awesome. Everyone needs groceries. Well, guys, you got anything else for Jordan? I got everything I wanted to touch on. Was kind of
No, thank you for coming on. Like I think that kind of covered what I had.
Yeah, I guess, is there anything else you want to convey to the audience about Purse, or your role going forward, or anything like that?
Yeah, so I will share a link in the description, which will get you $10 to spend on Purse. So that way you can experience it. So if your users are new to Purse and they want to try it out, I'll throw a link in the description so they can sign up and use that code and get some money to spend.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So Jordan, thanks for taking the time and joining us. Wish you guys at Purse best of luck. I think it's pretty cool that you guys are, with one of the biggest. It's weird, no offense, that I haven't heard of this Amazon and Purse relationship before. We kind of started diving in and chatting with you about it. So, I don't know if a lot of people know that. So, I suggest get out there and check it out. It's pretty dope. So
yeah, and just to share some numbers, so we've saved our shoppers $4.14 million. We've processed over 180,000 orders. We have over 200,000 orders, and our average discount this month is 18%. So actually, I was hired to to tell more people about Purse. So hopefully this helps.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks again. Best of luck, like we said, and take care. Peace out. Everyone listening, tip your waitresses. Damn it.
Especially if they're giving you food, because we all know where that food came from.
Yes.
Hey, spot on. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Peace out, guys.